Welcome to another episode of Redesigning Your Relationships podcast. I'm your host, Giovanna Burgess-White, with my co-host.
Hello, I'm Yvette Beltonegro.
And as you know, we always talk about relationships in this podcast. And today we're going to dive a little bit deeper on the relationship with your business, on future and past emotions. But before we start that, I'm just going to give you a little definition on relationships and what that word really means.
Woohoo! All right. So Gio and I have been talking a lot, just obviously about relationship with your business, relationship with yourself, relationship with kids, all that. But then I just was like, what do we mean when we say relationship, right? I mean, what does that really mean? I am such a word junkie when I have time to go through and really dive deep, like the meanings of word, what's behind it, because when you start just kind of breaking things apart, it's like little chunks of golden nuggets are what kind of come together to build the concept of what is truly a relationship. So after studying and thinking through just a relationship, I really just narrowed it down to three things. The three things that you have in your relationship with yourself, business, or, kids, it could be your dog, it can be your best friend, whatever it is. There's three dynamics that happen. Number one, it's how you connect to a person, a thing, a concept, a business. It's how you're connecting to that thing. Okay, now I love this. The word connect, these are the words that go around connect. Attach, secure, binding, couple, tether, yoke, and bond. And I don't know about you, but all of those bring such different emotions.
Yeah.
Attach, when you're connected to something and you feel that attachment, you can feel like, oh, I feel so attached to this. I love it, right? But then if you're thinking about being secure, being connected to something can make you feel secure because you're like, hey, there's a connection going. So imagine if you don't feel a connection, you don't feel the security, right? Binding and bonding to me kind of sound the same thing. Binding is maybe intertwined. Bonding is more like it's grip. But again, that can sound different to different people. Oh, there's such a bond between us. Actually, we use that when people talk about us. We're like, there's just like this bond. I mean, how do you describe that? Because we're in a relationship. It's like there's a bond. Well, bond can bring about like, oh my gosh, I feel so great. Or if for something was not going right, then all of a sudden like, yeah, our bonds, it's like slipping away. It's not the same. It doesn't feel whatever. And again, those are all feelings, but relationships make us feel connected. So that word connect. The second one, we actually have a behavior to the relationships. Again, and I don't know why I'm thinking of a dog right now, but your dogs, right? Even though they don't talk back to you, that is a behavior. You walk in the door, they scream, jump up and down, and it makes you feel so amazing because that is their behavior towards you. That's how they're acting. It can be, imagine this, manners, habits, and the effort. So again, you're looking at it from two different perspectives. Behavior is how you're acting towards someone. Well, of course, you walk in the door, can be your spouse. Hey, how's it going? How's your day? Oh my gosh, of course that's going to make you happy, right? Or if they act like, hey, gives you the nods up and then walks in the other room, then like, okay, that wasn't such a great feeling. So again, behavior within a relationship can make you feel a negative or a positive. I love the word effort. I am such a, I love this word, just effort. Everything about life to me is about an effort. You either effort positively or you effort. If there's not an effort, then it's negatively. You're either going to get a positive response, or if you don't have any effort, unfortunately, there becomes a negative response. But again, that goes towards behavior. The last one, it's an emotion. We have emotions attached to relationship. And crazy enough, all of these words are literally attached to relationship. It's not like I'm just making it up. They're real words that the English dictionary says are actually attached, connected to the word relationship.
Crazy.
Okay, I love this. It's your emotion that you have towards a thing, an object, again, a person, your business. It's your natural instinctive state of mind deriving from one's circumstance. So it's an instinct that you have within you, brings up an emotion based on a circumstance. It's also your mood.
Yeah.
It's your emotion.
It's deep. Relate. People don't realize how crazy this is.
No, this is deep. Okay, I love this one too. Intuitive feeling as distinguished from reasoning or knowledge. So basically, it's your response based on past history. We all have emotions towards our relationships because there's something instinctively, intuitively inside of us that already responded good or bad based on a past. So
Wow.
that it, when I'm telling you, Gia, when I was doing this, I'm like, oh my God, because what do we teach all the time?
We talk about the present and the future.
Yes. And
Always.
how all those are like, are you forward thinking? Are you past thinking? Are you letting your paradigms from the past affect your relationships? Because again, this is your emotion,
Yep.
which is real. You can't take that away. It's true
No.
emotions. Okay. So then the last one to go with the emotion. So it was connect with relationship, your behavior, and then emotion. But this is the last one. It's a feeling sensation. It's a response or a reaction. So again, relationships, you walk in the door. How are you feeling? It's a sensation. Then you respond and or you react. I don't know. I know we're going to play with all that because when I was breaking that down, I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. Because like you just said, everything that we teach completely goes around how are you. Yes, you have this relationship. Yes, you're connected. Yes, there's behaviors. Yes, there's emotions. What are you doing with it?
Yep. And that's what we're going to talk about today because, again, our podcast talks about every relationship in your life. It can be with the person, it can be with the business, it can be with yourself. And we really want people to understand that in order for any relationship in your life to work, you do have to have some sort of goal, vision, passion to what you want now and what you want your future to look like. And although we don't really talk about the past, it is tied into how we do what we do and how we take accountability for it. Because in all relationships, there's always something, like you said, like a trigger, something that we go back to. But if you think of everything in the past and just say it was a learning lesson, let's move forward. Now I know what I do want versus what I don't want. And think of those things as, again, you learned more about who you really want to be, who you truly want to be for yourself so that you can be that person in those relationships. We want to talk about the emotions tied to it. For people who say that there should be no emotions in decisions or in your relationships, it doesn't work that way. Obviously, you just stated that emotions is part of all relationships. And I think that it's really important that we talk about these words, these past emotion words and these future emotion words that are negative, and take that out of your system to understand that you really can start creating in any relationship that you're looking for positive words and positive emotions to really get you to that next goal. And I know yesterday as we were creating content and getting ready for our summer series, you had mentioned a couple of words that I was just like, ooh, I don't I don't like them. I don't want to have them. I don't like them. And so I think it's important for our listeners and our viewers to really just understand what those words are, because especially right now that we're talking about the relationship with your business and finding that balance, whatever your business is, corporate, side hustle, full-time entrepreneur, creating that work-life balance with your business is going to open the door to really creating and redesigning the other relationships in your life. It really is kind of like that domino effect. And right now we've seen that with our clients, with the women that we work with, is how either they're losing the momentum in their business, they're completely just losing the schedule, like the aspect of just even running a business. And I think it's important that we talk about these kind of trigger words and understand how can we really take them out of our system, and B, move forward with the correct emotions, especially when it comes to something that we're doing. Oh, I would say more than 50% of the time of our life is running our businesses or going to our jobs. So let's talk about those words.
Okay. Well, first, emotions, because I know, like you said, a lot of people say emotions are bad or wrong, or you should. Okay. First of all, how the heck are you supposed to go through life without an emotion? We're not robots. We're real people who go through real things and have real thoughts, feelings, and emotions. It's real. It's what we do. with those emotions. It's how we think about those. How do we react off of the emotion that you're having? That's the key, not necessarily that you're going to have them. So of course you're going to have, you can be sad. You can have a sad emotion. You may think about someone that you've lost. That's a sad, that's real. You shouldn't feel bad. So I don't want anybody to feel bad that they have an emotion. It's more saying, okay, I'll just use this as an example. Someone will say to me like, do you miss your dad because he passed? Of course. Do you feel sad? Of course. Like that's a real deep feeling. But in my head, I go, that's something that I cherish. But here's the thing. I'm so grateful that I have that emotion. I have the desire of not having him around, or the sadness of not having him around, because it was and is in my mind so great. So it's like taking something that's real to me, but then in my mind, once I process it, I go, yeah, I'm sad because he was freaking an amazing dad. So it's like taking, lemons and turning them into lemonade or whatever. But it's, again, what do I do with that feeling? How does it consume me? What do I, am I down? Am I depressed? Which is truly a real feeling. I'm not saying that someone can't do that. But again, it's like, how do I respond to those feelings? Okay. So first I want to these are all, when we have a feeling and a thought and emotion, we're either working towards something, we're going in the future, or it's dealing with the past. So these first words are very future driven. These are the words you didn't like, I used yesterday. Tension, stress, anxiety, and worry.
Yeah.
And those two last ones really are forward thinking thoughts, because the reason you're having anxiety or worry is because you're wondering about something that hasn't happened yet.
Yep.
It's like you're forecasting it in your future. What if I don't get my client? What if that marketing doesn't work? What if my bank account says this? What if that person doesn't show up to the meeting? What if my book deal doesn't go through? I mean, whatever it is, the what if my husband doesn't respond the right way when I'm talking to him? What if my child didn't get it just goes on and on and on, because we don't know. We're not God. We don't know the future, but we allow ourselves to spend so much time thinking and worrying about things that haven't even happened, instead of using that same mental energy to do things today in the now that can help the future. Okay. Now,
wait, before you go to the other that I want to talk about.
Okay.
I feel like this is one of the hardest things, to not worry about that, especially if you're an entrepreneur, especially if you're the breadwinner, especially if you're really, it's almost like having the expectations from your family, from yourself, and getting out of that mindset, I think, is one of the hardest things to do. I know my husband, if he's listening or watching, he's like, "Oh my God, are you talking to Gio?" Yeah, I used to be that worry, like all the time with everything, and I'm like, why? Like, why am I doing that? If anything, like you said, it's taking away from. Oh, hey, Train.
Hey, Train.
This episode sponsored by Yvette's Train. Especially again as an entrepreneur, and it's like you're wasting that time instead of just focusing on, like, let's do what I need to do, and those things will happen, which is why in the coaching that we do, we've been there, we've done that, we've done the work, and we now know that really isn't part of our, not even part of our mindset. It's just not part of our life anymore. There's no reason to do it. You can't control it. No one can control the future. Nobody can. So it's like all of these future thoughts and these worries, and also you're instilling that in your teams. If you have teams, like you're leading by example. You're instilling on your children. You're also instilling, like, that's it. Kind of, you're wearing that. People see you wearing that, and now you're kind of stressing out the rest of your unit. Whatever, if it's a business, if it's in your marriage, it's with your kids, and so it's really, really hard. Like, I'm telling you guys, it's probably the hardest work you'll ever do. But once you kind of let those emotions go and fill them in with other emotions, because it's not like saying, hey, you got to be emotionless. There's going to be good emotions in you things that you'll start creating, things that you'll be doing that are going to start to go, okay, this is how it should be, and this is how I should be thinking for the future. Now we can go to the past.
Okay, well, I was actually going to give an example because you said, and I think all of us, I promise you, man, especially before I discovered CBD, but I seriously would stay up all night long. Almost like it's almost like having a mental dream, even though you're kind of like in and out of but you're mentally dreaming about all the whatabouts. And what if this? What if it goes this way? What if it goes that way? What if I didn't do this? What if I did I do this today? And talk about your brain never relaxing. Now, for me, it would affect my sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Sleep to me, you don't want Yvette not to have sleep because then I'm not a happy person and I'm not nice to be around and I'm sharp and I don't see things happy. Everything's very gray. You don't want to be around me.
Yep.
So that starts affecting everyone around me as well. So it's like this domino effect that just kind of goes in a negative way. So again, this work that we do, everyone's different, but sometimes I'll like just get my phone and put some list. If I want to get it out of my mind, like, let me just text this to myself so it's gone.
Yep.
But instead of like dreaming, it's like I mentally have to go, well, why don't you just shut that off and start dreaming about the things that you're really working towards.
Yep.
And why don't you remind yourself of what you're going to be doing tomorrow, the next day, the next week, whatever it is, that's going to be you're taking steps in the right direction. So why don't you focus in on the, again, positive and not worry and be dreaming and thinking about the things that really do light you up.
Yeah. It's like taking the positive and making it negative. Whatever negative thing you're thinking, there's always a positive. So say, what if this actually happened? What if this actually happened versus the bad things? And I think when it comes to our clients who are the women that are trying to redesign their marriage, a lot of the things that we hear from them is the conversations they haven't had with their spouse yet. Well, what if I say this and that he comes back, like finances? Well, what if he really finds out how much money I'm really spending? Well, he's like, what if he doesn't? And then you keep on having this feeling. Or, what if I really can't sit down and have a conversation with him on like what I really want sexually, what intimacy means to me, because I'm just super embarrassed. And what if he never talks to me again? Well, what if you do talk to him and now all of a sudden you have an amazing sex life? Like, those are the things we talk about with our clients, with recovery after divorce. Oh, that's like so hard. Women don't even know what they want. It's like they're so scared to even think about the future because they're so stuck on like who they've been. Well, guess what? You already made the harder decision, was getting the divorce. Now it's time for you. And then with your business, this is where we talk about this. We see women lose themselves in their business and not in a good way. And it's really taking all of those negatives and saying, let's write them down, like you said, let's shut it off, or let's even do an exercise and say, what would it look like if it was opposite? And how does that make you feel? Because my God, I'm sure when you're reading them and feeling the negatives, but you start to read and feel the positives, that's going to be a mind shift change right away. I don't want to talk about the past because we normally don't, but I think they're words that we need to talk about. So,
yeah. Okay, so here are the past words. For the future, here's the past. Ooh, these are good ones. Guilt, regret, resentment, and bitterness. So I'm just going to go with guilt first. I really feel like this one's a huge one for us women, especially moms, with the whole guilt factor of what we're supposed to do all the time, how we're supposed to react, what our time is supposed to be, the mommy guilt of, I want to go work on my business, but my child needs me, or I wasn't able to make that school function because I had to do this, or it just goes on and on and on and on for guilt. It's horrible. Regret. If I only would have, if I could have, I should have. I mean, and here's the thing about the past, you never get it back. If someone can figure that out, they are going to be a multi-gazillionaire if we can ever figure out to either go into the past or go to the future. But guess what? At this moment, we can't. So you can't change something that already happened. And again, it's how you look at it. Yes, Man, we've all been through some horrible things. Life brings us and deals us a poopy hand of cards sometimes. I get it, but you can't go back and change it,
Mm-mm.
which is, it sucks. You can only work with it today
Yep.
and not live in regret. Resentment.
Mm.
Boy, I think that's a big one. I think that's such a broad, but such a strong word. Sometimes I don't even think that we know that we're even doing that we resent someone, we resent a thing, we resent our work, someone else's work.
Yep.
We can resent someone's friendship.
Yeah.
There's so many things that you can resent that you don't even really know that's really bothering you inside.
You don't even know you're doing it,
No,
really.
no, I think that's like kind of like a silent killer or something. Ooh, and then bitterness.
Yeah.
If there's one thing, bitterness to me is so much attached to like almost unforgiveness. Um, and that's a huge one in a marital relationship. Just over the years, bitterness that just grows and grows and grows. But of course, because like you said, people aren't communicating, the resentment, issues, things happen. You don't even want to, I mean, like, I get it. It happens. But over time, bitterness turns into unforgiveness, and unforgiveness turns into really not so great things.
Yeah.
So, again, these are all past emotions, thoughts, feelings that we have about something that already happened, but it weighs us down. It's like, right now I just have this vision of someone just trying to, they're in a big ocean and they're trying to get to the top, but they've got this big weighted chain on them, ball, and they're like just struggling to get up there. It's because they're being so weighted down by something that already happened.
Yeah.
And they can't change.
And I think a lot of people and our clients too get stuck on the past. We really don't deal with it. We're kind of, we've already told you that we're now in the future, but especially in their marriages, they always want to go, well, this happened, or this is how it's been, or this is how I was if they've gotten divorced, or I can't do that for myself. And I think, again, if we don't take the time to use all of the things in the past as a learning lesson, we will never be able to move forward in any relationship that we're looking at. And you and I both did early on. This is where it comes at. We early on did episodes on our stories on why it is that we do what we do, why we shifted from couples into working only with women. And we don't really talk about ourselves often in the podcast. I don't think there's been a podcast that we really need to, but I think this is one of the ones where we can both talk about just how our situation in the past, how we've done the work and we've moved forward, because people still ask me now after over a decade of being divorced if I ever regretted getting married that young, regretted having kids, and regret getting divorced. And I don't have regrets, because I would not have the life that I have now if I didn't have that season in my life. If I didn't get married at 21, if I didn't have Alex at 22, if I didn't go through, 7 miscarriages, if I didn't go through all, I could sit here and talk about it and say, oh my God, like, yes, it was horrible. No, it wasn't. That I had to go through those steps, and I had to learn from, I don't even want to call them mistakes. I had to learn from those relationships in order to be the woman that I am now at 40. And I'm still growing, and I'm still go back and look at those, I guess, experiences. We talked about their experience, and say, I'm glad that I've been able to go through that and grown from that and really learned what it is that I need, what it is that I want, and how I can create this life in order for all the relationships to work. The relationship with my business, the relationship with my children, the relationship with my parents, the relationship with you, the relationship with our business. All of that is just an example and of learning and going through it versus using those words. I don't think I've ever used the word regret. I can't, because I made those choices. So I want people to understand that wherever you are, however you come to us, listening, watching us, all of these things, you can take them and use them to really create the life that you want, and understand that every single relationship has to grow from whatever you want to call those experiences, good or bad. I mean, that's life. And I know you can say the same thing in your experience with your life and where you're at now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I used to say, like, you use the word regret. In my mind, I'm like, Yeah, of course, I wish I would have made better choices. Of course, everybody's gonna, it's so easy to say that once you go through something. It's like, yeah, I would have made, but like you said, first and foremost, I wouldn't have my amazing four children. So how in the world could I have them without have gone through the things that I went through? And sure, someone could go, well, your life would be different. Yeah, but I don't know what that would be. Would that be better? Would I have had better kids? Like, like I don't know that, but who cares? I got the ones that I have and I love the ones that I have. So I'm not going to go back again. I can't go back and change it. It is what it is. I have them now, and that's what I'm super grateful for. And so like that's all that it is. It's like them. But
Yeah.
and
In your
moving,
life now and what you've created and what they've seen you as a woman now. And I think that's where people get stuck in that past and they don't want to be present or move forward. And they live this life of the shoulds and, well, that's how I thought it should be. And then that's what I was taught it should be. And then all of a sudden, you know, you're dead and you're like, what happened? That's where the regret would be, that you didn't do what you were supposed to do or you didn't learn from the experiences, because they're all experiences, which is tied back to the word in relationships, and all these experiences have emotions. So what emotion are you tying to it, and how long are you really taking? Because time is precious, it's valuable. We don't have a lot of it. We've talked about this in previous podcasts. And what are you doing in order to grow, in order to create the life that you want, in order for all the relationships to fall into place? Because at the end of the day, that's what we do. Everything we talk about, every podcast, it has to do with you. This has to do with no one else but you.
and going off of that, one piece of advice I learned a long time, and we're talking like 20, 25 years ago, just on this whole like the forgiveness, bitterness, letting things go. If you don't let something go, the only person you're really hurting is yourself. Because for some reason we feel like if we let something go, then it's almost like, well, now I've released that person from hurting me. Like they don't, where's their judgment? How come they gonna get a slap on the wrist? And what's going, it's like, well, let the universe deal with them, because that you're still allowing them to affect you, because I'll just say me, you're choosing not to just let that go.
Yeah.
But it's been incredible the minute I made the choice to just go, I'm just going to again, I can't go back and change it. I can't do a redo. It is what it is, but you let it go. And there's such a weight that is lifted, because now it's like, I'm not responsible for them. They're not responsible for me. I'm only responsible for myself. Self says, done. I don't want you affecting me anymore. This is over. And now I get to look this way, because there's so much more this way than when you focus in on some little thing that happened, years ago. But the damage truly just continues to go. And you don't even realize that you're damaging yourself, but you're the only one, you're the only one that you keep hurting, and you're allowing it to hurt you.
Well, I feel like we're always deep. I feel like we're always deep in all these episodes. Well, if you're watching or listening in real time, thank you for doing that. We are in the middle of our summer series. So if you are trying to find rebalance in your business and you're in Houston or in the surrounding areas, join us for our summer series workshops. We have those in the show notes and anywhere that you're watching or listening. And if you want to jump on a consultation with us, whatever relationship in your life you want to work on, we are here to help you redesign, recover, or rebalance. Just reach out to us. And again, if there's anyone you want to hear, topics that you want us to talk about, let us know. We do have, I think, 2, 3, 4 guests in the next 2 months coming on. So we're going to be diving deep into relationships and in all areas, and bringing on all experts and guests on relationships and how we can really just grow and be the better version of ourselves. So until next time, bye.